boy, are you ready to do this Gantz episode?
Yeah, I've been ready. I mean, I was the one that brought it up.
All right, man. Yeah, man. So this is how we're gonna do this, old boy. First, you know what? Since we got our cheerleader EriksBlue in the corner there, sorry to keep you secluded there, but this is gonna be your time to speak out, EriksBlue, because we're gonna talk about the anime. Then we're gonna talk about the. Hold on. Let me see the order.
I'm still here.
No, you're still there. I'm just looking. I'm looking at
pom poms.
I'm looking at my notes. First, we're going to talk about the anime. Then we're going to talk about the manga. Yeah, then we're going to talk about the movies. Fair enough. Now, oh boy, you haven't watched the anime.
No, I didn't get around to it, unfortunately.
EriksBlue, you watched the anime for Gantz, didn't you?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so me and you are gonna. I'm gonna bounce off you for this, but let me do most of the talking because I feel the energy about Gantz right now.
Okay.
All right, to talk about this anime, I have to talk a little bit about the manga because the first thing I should say rather is that as a positive, Gantz, the anime is quite faithful to the manga in my personal opinion. Animation for the anime is good. It was done by Studio Gonzo, very popular. I don't need to go on about Gonzo and do a lot of good shit. They animated it very close to how it's drawn in the manga. So, and I know that might sound kind of, oh, well, we have to, but in some cases that's not the case. In this case, I think they did a really good job of translating animation to the manga and capturing you in that world. Now, I didn't read the manga before I watched the anime. I watched the anime first. The time I watched Gantz, it was probably 2004, and it was really radical. I think that's the word I would use. It was, as I was watching it, the mystery really drew me in. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, first episode, they get ran over by a train, they end up in a room with a black ball, then they go on, they end up in these fucking latex high gear black suits with these fucking dynamo guns blowing up monsters. It was kind of like, I don't know, it kind of was like a young boy's fantasy in a way. It was kind of weird, but I really liked it. The action. And the thing I liked about it most was the characters in Gantz are realistic, but they're annoying.
Yeah.
Like the main character.
Yeah. And they're annoying because they're realistic. It kind of goes hand in hand because most of the time they're moaning about their situation. Yeah. But obviously, if you was in that situation, you're probably
freaking out, yeah.
And losing your marbles too. So, but as for the anime, when the anime came out, they did it in phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 was 13 episodes, phase 2 is 13 episodes. And later they just changed. They do this a lot in anime. Later they changed it to just 126 season, which whatever. But at the time I was watching it, when I'd watched that first 13 episodes, you know what? And I'll just warn you guys now, we're going to completely spoil this. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if you ain't watched Gantz yet, here's your chance to just tune out because from this point on, I'm going to talk about the storyline in depth.
Well, hold on a second. We're going to do that with all of our podcasts from now on, right? We're not going to tiptoe around.
If we do specials, then obviously we're going to, yeah. If we do dedicated specials, then yeah, we're going to totally expose it. But where I do like a 3-on-3, when we talk about anime in general, not really. But you're not on the 3-on-3s anyway. You don't do that, so.
Yeah, I don't watch enough anime.
Yeah, so yeah, but let's just say for Gantz, we're going to spoil it. But anyway, Kurono in Kurono. Yeah, the main character in the first 13 episodes. I loved his character development. He just turned into as Americans would say, a badass. Turned into this kind of I wouldn't even say he was kind of reclusive and a reclusive asshole.
A lovable sex maniac.
That's adolescence. Every young male feels that way. That's why.
I know.
As a man, I was like, well, he's thinking the same shit I'm thinking. You know what I mean? He's acting the same way. And as a guy reading this, I just felt like this character was written for me. Like everything this guy was going through, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. And through the series, because he's in the situation, he's kind of scared at first. But there's something in him that's like, no, fuck this, man. Fuck this. I need to fight this. And by the end of the first series, he's just an all-out badass. He's just like, fuck this. I'm the man. I'm going to kill these fuckers because I ain't dying. It's not even where there's no, the thing I like about Kei Kurono, it's not bravado that he has. It's just he doesn't want to be fucked around with anymore, you know. And he ain't gonna die. He always says that I ain't gonna fucking die. You're gonna die. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live through this. He's very, very affirmative in what he wants to do. Most of the other characters are very whiny, you know, but because they focus so much on K, and you kind of feel like you're in his head most of the time. He's a very adolescent boy. He's fucking. Well, how old is he in this series? 15?
16?
16? Yeah.
That's a high schooler.
He's a high school.
I like Masaru Kato, his friend, better.
Well, I'm going to let you talk about him because I just. Anyway, just to briefly, I'm going to let you speak in a minute. Just to talk about the anime. In terms of the manga, what happened with the anime was it ended. It had a second phase, like I said, which ended in 26 episodes. They were following the manga up to, if I remember correctly,
The Buddhist or Buddha arc.
just after that, yeah, that was the last arc that was parallel to the manga. As soon as that ended, the anime went into nothing. I won't even say they wrote the story.
It's an anticlimax.
Yeah, nothing happened. They just ran it into the ground. And I remember just thinking to myself, I was dying to find out what happened. But at the time, 2004, I didn't read manga. The only manga I had read up to that point was Berserk. And I didn't even know, my ignorance was at all-time high. I didn't know anything about I didn't know much about manga. I wasn't really interested in reading manga. I knew that manga was out there. I didn't really care. So I was just I was sitting on my hands waiting for the anime to be redone or whatever. So, anyway, I don't want to talk about, I don't want to go and, I've said what I said about the anime. I think it is a very, very good adaptation to the, from the manga to the anime, even to the point where a lot of anime don't go, they had the explicit sex scenes, even in the anime, which would classify as a hentai, but it was softcore. But I just felt that I was really surprised they stayed true to that, and I was like, okay, shit, well, boy, they really don't give a damn. They just went for it, and without reading the manga, I really loved the anime. I really did. It really got me revved up. I really did like the ending. It just didn't end like you said. EriksBlue anticlimactic, but that's all I could say. That's all I'm going to say about anime for now. So I would like to get the female perspective of this, EriksBlue.
Well, you say you like the main character, what's his name, K? I didn't really like K because I thought he was trying to molest Kei Kishimoto, the female character.
Yeah.
But my favorite character was Masura Kato because he's like the older brother character who has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, and he's the best friend. He's the most level-headed person out of all of them. At the beginning.
Okay. How did you feel about the setting? Like the chaoticness, the situation they were in?
Actually, I thought it was kind of... You said it was kind of like a teenager's fantasy, yeah, but if he wanted to die horribly...
Okay. So what I'm trying to get at is, are you saying you thought it was stupid? As you was reading it, did you think it was just too hectic? It just wasn't, formulaic or anything. Did you just think it was chaos? Is that what you're saying?
No, I thought it was an interesting idea because I never seen anything like it, but I felt like the only female character was just basically a love interest who had no character development at all, and she basically all she was around is just to look pretty and have big boobs.
And, I hate to say it, man, but, from Kay's perspective as a man, I was like, yeah, that's all they're good for. I'm saying. No, but basically, yeah, it was, like Goldboy said before we started recording, it's very chauvinistic in that sense as well, but I just think the whole Gantz is very adolescent. It's just told from a very adolescent and chaotic point of view, and it works on that level, but it's chaotic on another way, and I can understand why some people would think it's kind of nonsense, even though I think that's a bit harsh, because I do feel like even though it's chaotic, there's a kind of realism to the situation where they don't hold back on what they're doing. Where I think other anime and stories will kind of prance around and wouldn't go to that extreme, and I think it's fair for me to say, without talking about the manga too much, it is one of the most extreme chaotic stories I've ever read, ever. So
It certainly is gory.
yeah.
It's kind of like on the Elfen Lied, but kind of, I think it jumps over and like catapults over Elfen Lied in the matter of gore.
Yeah. Well, gore and everything else. All that and a bucket of chips. So, oh boy, let's bring you in because next we're going to talk about the manga. Because, funny enough, man, through doing this podcast, I remember asking you about Gantz. You've seen the anime, and you were like, "No, I read the manga though." And I was like, "Manga?" He was like, "Yeah, ain't you read the manga?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "You need to read that manga."
You do. If you've only seen the anime or the live actions, you need to read the manga.
So, man, why don't you talk about the manga? Because my mouth is a bit tired after talking about the anime.
I don't know how to compare it to the anime because, like I said, I didn't get around to watching any before we started the podcast. But compared to the live actions, there are a lot more characters in the manga. I mean, they cut out like over half the characters in the movies. So there's a lot of different characters. Like we were saying earlier, even though they're kind of annoying, it's because they're realistic. You know, the people, all the characters are realistic. That's a seinen trait, if you're curious. But it's just a lot of the other battles too that they have to go through. They're a lot more complex. They're a lot better. I don't know about the anime, but compared to the live action, they're still good in the live action, but they're a lot better because a lot more stuff happens because there's a lot more people, and some of the monsters do more stuff than they do in the live actions, at least.
Okay. Well, I don't want to talk too much about live action because we want to talk about that in detail. But I just want to talk about your experience as a manga on its own. Forget about comparing it to everything else. How you feel about it?
Okay, just by itself.
Yeah.
I started reading Gantz, and it sucked me in immediately because, you know, it has a fairly typical setup for how it begins. You know, the main character dies. They have to go through some kind of exceptional goal to come back to life or to just go about their lives. So, you know, that's a pretty typical thing, especially in shonen, right? But the way that everything's done is it's more personal. You know, there's the characters aren't just one or two dimensional. You know, they have like 2 or 3 key traits. They're people. They have jobs. They have relationships. They have real feelings and everything that you don't typically get in shonen. But the other thing is, like, for some reason, I was drawn to it because I could relate to Chrono, the main character, because, you know, he's a nobody, which it's not that strange in an anime or manga for the main character to be, you know, some nobody loser, but it's not like the kind of guy that's always picked on. He's just a ghost, which is what most people who aren't really social are. They're just ghosts, you know. And then as he progresses through the beginning of Gantz, you know, going through those first maybe 10 missions, there's a big growth for him where it's like he's scared, but it's a new thing and it's exciting to him, to where it's his calling. He comes to a realization that it's his calling, and he lives for that. You know, his real life outside of the Gantz thing becomes just sort of like sleepwalking, and then when he gets his call to go do a mission, it's like he's coming to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very exciting to read.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You said, yeah, you've even articulated things I didn't even talk about. But yeah, you know what? I think you said you didn't watch the anime, but I think I can help you out with that, because where the manga continues, where the anime left off, I'll tell you, that's at the point where, you know, the first thing that happens where the manga kind of goes on its own path is Kuronago has that solo mission on his own where he has to fight that one alien. And then that alien goes to his school. And then the mass murders just start. And then you know, I remember you and One Life were telling me that, you know, they can't do the rest of that as an anime because it just goes too far. And I was just thinking, come on, guys, you know, there must be a way. But after some of the shit I read in that story, no fucking way, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
bored.
Yes, it's not even that. Some of it is just not good. It's not good for public reasons. I mean, there's a lot of mass murder of innocent people in Gantz for no reason. Yeah, there's one character in particular. You know, the guy who erases memory and comes back into the game. He's trying to get back into Gantz.
Is the guy who blows himself up?
The guy blows himself. I don't remember that guy.
He dresses like a black guy, like he does blackface, and he has a huge afro, and he blows himself up with the rest of the people.
I think we're talking about the same person, but I think you got confused because the guy who dressed up the black, he's the guy that goes on the mass murdering spree. and starts shooting people in the street.
Yeah.
He doesn't blow himself up. K kills him.
Yeah, we have to talk about that too a bit more. Like there's more rules in Gantz, the manga at least, than the movies. Like one of them is they're like in a overlaying dimension or something where normal people can't see them, at least in the beginning, and then it starts to erode away and people can actually see them and be hurt by the monsters in them.
Yeah. Funny enough, what the appeal that Gantz had in the beginning was like it felt like a double life. When you're watching the anime, it felt like the Gantz life was in the same place, but like an alternate dimension, you know. But like you said, Go Boy, as soon as the anime ends, it's like they knew where to stop the anime, because it's the point where they cut the anime off, all bets are off. The manga just goes totally ape shit.
Is that when they can start actually talking about being in Gantz and in the Gantz team? Sorry.
That's further along. That's further along. That's further along. Even before that, as soon as K goes on that mission on his own, and he's fighting that one alien, the alien comes to his school and starts picking on him because it's like, you killed my friend, you killed my friends, I'm gonna kill your friend.
Starts killing it like everybody.
And starts killing everybody, and then basically the funny thing you said about Corona, that he becomes his real life becomes the Gantz life. Well, the funny thing about the manga, he has no other life except for the Gantz life. Just later, the game the rules are gone. And you get to the point in Gantz where you don't know who the enemy is. Because first, the whole thing is, we got to beat Gantz. Then it's like, oh, we got to beat the aliens. Then it's like, oh, but then Gantz is fucking us over.
Well, you know what? For people to better understand, let's actually explain what Gantz, how it works, at least in the beginning. It starts out, you die, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as you die, you're brought to this strange room that has a black ball. And the guy, he speaks in leet speak, but what happens is he tells you he's going to use your life the way he wants to because you died and he brought you back to life, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what happens is you don't know what that is at first, but it turns out he wants you to exterminate different aliens who are living on Earth, usually in hidden ways, like they're actually statues or sculptures or something, just hiding. And then when he tells them to go assassinate them, they actually come to life as aliens. Mm-hmm. But the goal is you get points for what you do during the mission. If you're completely worthless, you get 0 points. If you kill different monsters, depending on their difficulty, you get points for it. You get 100 points, you get a point menu option where you can either do like 3 things. You can upgrade your equipment, you can bring somebody back to life that was involved with Gantz in some way, even if they're like an innocent bystander. Mm-hmm. Or you can have your memory erased and just be exempt from Gantz missions forever. And that's the goal of most people, is they can't handle it. The Gantz missions are too diabolical. The people who usually excel in the Gantz missions are like fucked up in the head. They're psychotic and stuff. They're sadistic. Yeah. But
it's like a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to point out the first one I mentioned, the one where you can get upgraded equipment, because it's one of the things that's neat about Gantz is the suits, all the powers, the alien technology. It's all really cool, right?
Yeah.
But then you see the team that follows with Chrono and his best friend, everything. They're stuck on like bringing people back to life, because that's the kind of people they are. But you see the other teams who have more of a nihilistic sort of outlook. They keep upgrading their gear and everything, and when they meet these other teams, like the Osaka team, they see that like their weaponry is like way better. It's really cool. They even have vehicles. There's no vehicles in the movies, but the vehicles are really neat. Yeah. I think the one guy, the first guy who has like the super powered up suit, that they meet him when they first meet the Osaka team, right? I think he has a giant mecha, doesn't he? He also has a mecha.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
So he has this guy's been playing for like a hell of a long time and winning and everything. He's got like a beefed up suit. He just got a mecha. He's got super cool weapons and everything. It's just like you're usually exposed to the entry level stuff, which is what the Chronos team runs around with, because they always want to bring people back to life. Yeah. But then you see the other team and they have like way better stuff that's really cool. It's very innovative.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I thought it was interesting that even after they met them, I wasn't sure if after they meet them they would kind of change their train of thought and be like, you know what, maybe we should go down a weapons path. Not really. They still kind of stuck with the,
Yeah,
you
they
know
did.
what, let's still keep the reviving thing going. You know,
But that's something that I do want to address. It's like every key decisions they make, because they're not, so predictable. They're actually like real people. There's always going to be like, well, are they going to do what makes more sense for their survival, or are they going to stick true to,
who they are.
their MO, and they stuck true to it? But there is actual chance that they're like, oh, fuck this shit, I want a giant mecha,
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about more the manga story. It was so insane, man. Oh, it was just crazy, ape shit crazy, man. I was loving, I feel kind of guilty for loving this shit now, because I felt like you said the word I can't even say gratuitous. Gratuitous. Why can't I say this word?
Gratuitous.
Gratuitous. I need to practice that. It was just so gratuitous, and I loved it, man. He just kept on getting more with the sex and the violence and the monster. Hey.
Well, I hate that part.
Yeah, you're touching on. We'll getting to that negative part. Yeah. The artwork is, even in the manga, the artwork is beautiful, man. Artwork is really great.
It's top class. It's one of the best drawn things I've ever seen.
If I wasn't so enticed with it, I would actually be scared of some of the shit I've seen. But some of the monsters are fucking crazy, man. Man, you know what? It's crazy in a fucked up way. It's crazy in a crazy way. I saw a fucking dinosaur in Gantz.
You saw a few.
What the fuck is a dinosaur doing up in this motherfucker, man? But they had to kill that shit, man. And there's so many high tension moments in Gantz. There's times where they think they're going home, or they think they've done the mission. Gantz sent them on another mission straight away, and the monsters they have to fight, it's totally unbeatable, totally just, and they're getting, death. Everyone's up for grabs, man. Everyone dies in Gantz.
Yep.
The people that don't die in Gantz, you don't care about them. The people that you care about die in Gantz. That's another thing that makes. But even if they come back, it's not in a corny way. It's not in a fucking shonen way. It's not in a. I'm not even running Dragon Ball Z because I love Dragon Ball Z in a way. But it's not. Oh, let's bring the Dragon Balls back. They got to kill. It's kind of like a life for a life in that game.
Yeah.
When you give up those points, you don't feel too happy. There's not a smile on your face, because basically it's like back to square one. You might have brought someone back, but now you got to start all over again.
Yeah, and perpetually they're always at square one, because they're always bringing people back, because people always die with their starting gear.
All right, so as much as it pains me, let's work through the more disappointing aspects of the manga. As the story progresses, the chaos progresses. They introduced one element that kind of, to me, serves absolutely no purpose at all. EriksBlue touched on it, and old boys mentioned it, and vampires just. The funny thing is, as I said,
the main character's brother was a vampire also.
Yeah. I don't know why. I honestly don't know. They didn't explain that. I don't know how he became, or I don't know any of that. But I'm even losing my train of thought. It's kind of like, I could accept it if it was just like another monster. I thought it was like a one-off, but they become this syndicate that are walking around planning shit, and I don't know what they're.
Not even that. They were there for like 1 or 2 volumes, and then they're just gone.
True. Now they're gone. Good. Thank you. Actually, they're gone now.
The way that I felt about it is like, it's vampires, whatever. But as a potential nemesis, there was a lot they could have done there, but they just vanished. And then where Gantz is right now, with like a gigantic invasion.
Oh, we'll get there. I just want to touch on one thing about the vampires.
Still talking about the vampires, though. They could become unlikely allies that they turn to, but they haven't done it yet. They're gone. They never came back.
Yeah, well, fuck yeah, you're right. Thank you. When I saw those vampires first, like I said, 4 months of the week, just another villain. But then I thought they were bringing this element of the hunter becomes the hunted. Like, now people hunting Gantz, and I thought, okay, this is cool. But then the ones his brother, I'm like, okay, how did that happen? Then they brought in this kind of touchy-feely storyline with Kay and his girlfriend, which was good. It kind of, I felt bad for the guy with the situation, but it kind of went round in circles, and now it's become the core of the story, which is kind of disappointing in one. But you know what? I want to say it's the core of the story. It's one half of a bad idea, because on that half you got the love story, the what you dance on the stress story on one hand, and on the other hand, we're going to talk about it. We got the alien invasion, and you know what? It doesn't bother me because in a way it kind of makes sense in the context of the story. It makes sense, but in another way, to me, it's a bit too much. It's like too grandiose. This is just way too much. They could have, I don't know. Gantz is insane anyway. So for me, I don't know. In a way, maybe it's staying true to what it is, but to me, it's gone to a level that I don't know, man. In a good way, I want it to end now. I honestly do. In a good, it's like, you know what? We had a good time. I like it for what it was, and I feel that the story's coming to an end. I really feel that way.
I do too. I don't see where you can go from where when the arc ends. Where do you go from there?
They still left a couple of things that I explained. I'm not nitpicking. Like later, even though we're kind of spoiling it, I don't even want to talk about the Gantz ball and what it is. And later on, the army of other Gantz soldiers that control the ball, or that it was made by a German scientist or whatever thing they were explaining. I was kind of still confused, but you know what? There's only so much explanation I can ask for in a manga or in anime for that matter. So I was like, you know what? Fine. I just accept what it is. And anyway, Gantz at its core, let's be honest, it's not really all about storyline. It's about character development.
Yeah.
Kind of manipulating your emotions and how you feel about these characters, sex and violence. These three things are what Gantz is all about. So, fair enough. This alien invasion now, when me and you are on chapter 350, now, as of November 2011.
Jeez.
I want it to end now because it's exciting, but I'm kind of like, I'm just twiddling my thumbs out thinking, just end this now. I get you kind of revealed everything now. You've told enough. Just have the big battle and finish. This war they're having now, it's long and I see no end. And Gantz has been running, how long has it been running for, old boy? Since 2000, right?
It's been running for a long time. If you get to 350...
2000, 2001.
Yeah, if you get to 350 and you figure they're releasing, because it's not a weekly thing, it's like monthly, bi-monthly.
Yeah. I mean, 11 years, man, 10 years. I'm really glad I started reading the manga when they were on episode. I know it's kind of cheeky for me to say it. They were already on chapter 340 when I started reading the manga anyway, so I just got to read it all in one go, really. But yeah. What can I say about the manga, man? It's we're going to move on to the movies now. What can I say about the manga? It's insane, but it's really enjoyable. It really, as a man, I don't really expect females to like it because it is very chauvinistic.
It's definitely for guys.
It's very adolescent. I keep using that word.
I liked it. Even though I complained about it, I still liked it.
But you wouldn't read any more now, would you?
Probably if I can remember where I stopped reading it at.
Well, something made you put. Did you catch up to the chapter? Is that why you stopped? Just because there wasn't any more, or did you actually just put it down because you had enough?
I think I put it down because it took so long for it to get updated. And I was like, I'll just wait until there's more. Then I just forgot to read it.
Oh, you caught up, and basically that's Okay, fair enough. Well, yeah. I mean, when I see the reviews, it's 10, 10, 10s. I think they did a good job with the anime. The manga is insane. They will never continue that anime from that manga.
Yeah, they can't.
So, when I saw they were making a live-action movie, I was surprised. Because...
Pleasantly surprised?
I was pleasantly surprised just for the basis that I love the franchise on its own. But obviously, when you hear a live-action of an anime or movie, you know it's going to be terrible. In this case, I'll start by saying it wasn't as bad as I thought it could have been. It really wasn't as bad.
Well, wait. we have to talk about the two movies separately because they're
Yeah, of course, I talk about Season Mississippi, but I'll just start by saying they weren't as bad as I thought they could be. Like, if you talk about live action anime to movie, or you're talking about something like Gaivo, then you're talking about the bottom of the barrel. So Dragon Ball or whatever, I can go on. There's a lot of live action adaptations that are just awful. So I just thought to myself, I'm happy to see that there's so much love for this franchise that they've made a live action movie. But on the other hand, it might hurt the whole thing if it's shit.
yeah,
Big joke. So
like Priest.
yeah, sorry, old boy.
The man was still there, so
Yeah. All right, man. So you know what? I'm interested, old boy, to get your opinion of the live action both of them, and then you go first on both of them, then I'll go first, because I want to know what you think, because especially about the second one. But you know what? You just talk about both of them.
okay. Well, we'll start with the first one. The first one was a lot better than I thought it would be because it's pretty faithful to a large portion of the beginning of the manga. One of the things that really helps with the live action is it looks amazing. The suits, I actually was like, wow, I wish I had one of those for a Halloween costume,
Yeah,
Don't tell me it can't be done because they had the dog and a panda in suits in the manga, so it's possible. But
yeah.
they look really good. The weapons look all really good. The aliens look really good. The action sequences are really good. They aren't. It would take it would add like another hour to the movie if they did the action sequences exactly how they were in the mangas. But for the most part, they're as good as it was gonna get. I mean, maybe the temple scene could have been a lot better, but if you're cutting out a lot of characters because it's a movie, part of what made the temple action scene as good as it was there was cannon fodder that could just be thrown away, on the Gantz team. If you don't have that, it's not going to be very good, even if you try to do it exactly how it was in the manga. I think the temple mission was like the first mission they had that got really fucking insane. And I think part of it too was that's when Chrono first realizes like this is his calling in life, and he doesn't exactly have that in the movie. He sort of like takes charge, but it's not the same thing as just becoming a burden with being a nobody and everything like it was in the manga.
All right, so hold on. Now that we're talking about a live action movie, let's talk about the aspects of the live action movie. I'll just ask you, just want to get your opinion. Let's first of all, what do you think about the casting? Because personally, I think they got a lot of the characters right, except for K himself.
Yeah, Chrono was, I don't know, man. Like in the manga, he's like a pretty average guy, which maybe this is average for Japan, but that guy's like a stick.
He was so scrawny and short.
He's like 90 pounds, 5'3" or something. He's hella small.
But what I have to say is, those other characters, almost every other character they chose, every actor they chose, they actually look like the characters in the manga.
Yeah, they actually really, well, I mean, part of it helps with Gantz is a lot of characters actually look pretty realistic. They actually do kind of look like real people as far as anime goes, so it might have not been that hard for them to cast. But still, like, I agree with you. Why would you get somebody like that for the main character?
Especially, Sato, his build, his hairstyle, he looked like he came just out of the manga. I was like, wow, they actually found a guy that looks exactly like the character in the manga. Like, wow. Maybe I'm exaggerating.
I don't think he looked exactly like him, but I think he looked as close as you were going to get. I don't think he could do a better job.
But K, the guy, his body structure was so puny, and I was like, come on, man. I can't believe for a second this guy would, be more whatever. But you know what? Funny enough, saying that, he kind of did rise to the occasion.
He did. Like, he didn't really look like Chrono, but just he was able to pull off the role of some, chump nobody becoming somebody. He actually had that in him as an actor.
So that's first movie, you're saying decent.
Yeah. First movie, I would say, if you're on the fence about anime or manga, but you're willing to kill like an hour and a half or something to see a movie, see what it's about, check out the first movie of Gantz. It's not that unfaithful to the manga. I assume the anime as well, since you said the anime is pretty faithful to the manga. It's well made, well produced. They did a good job on it. So if you're listening to us, you still don't know if you want to try anime and manga out, try out watching the Gantz live action, the first one. Not Perfect Answer, the first one.
And by the way, if you don't know this by now, I think it goes without saying this is a Japanese live action, not an American live action movie, for God's sake.
No Keanu Reeves being Chrono.
You wish, America! You wish! Alright, oh boy, come on to Kent's perfect answer then.
Okay, perfect answer. I have mixed feelings about it. Again, it had good production. Everything looked amazing. I still want one of those suits. But one of the problems was you kind of came across with the first one is they cut out a lot of characters. You don't have to cut out all the characters they cut out. But I could see why they did it. So when you come to the second one, there are characters that you actually like that are part of the core story in the anime and the manga that aren't there. They're not there. It's like only 4 or 5 main guys.
If you read the reviews, everyone says this movie is like 2.5 hours long. The second one, yeah?
Yeah.
And the first fucking hour is a waste of goddamn time.
Yeah, I remember I watched the first half and I was like, dude, I don't know if I could fucking do this.
I know, because I Skyped you. I was like, I told you the first hour, nothing. They're just walking around, talking, and then it all starts off with that train scene.
Yeah, the train scene, wow. That was a good way to keep my attention. I mean,
that was not in the manga at all, was it? Because I was like, this is totally different. This is not manga.
I'm trying to think. I don't think there was any train scene. There's a couple right when the rules are starting to vaporize, where people can't see them, they can't interact with people, they can't talk about being on the Gantz team and everything. I think like the first 1 or 2 missions right after that happens it's not on like a subway, but there is like lots of people getting caught in between. There's a lot of
it's a lot to remember. I know I can't ask you to remember all of it. It's a lot happens in a lot of action scenes in Gantz, so it might have we both might have forgotten. But when I was watching that scene, usually when you're watching the movies, you remember. Oh yeah, I remember that scene. But that train scene seemed very unique to me. I was like, I think they just put this in here. But you know what? I really liked it as an action scene. It was, I thought it was great.
That's a 2 paws up from me. It was a pretty good action scene.
2 paws up. Yeah, I think I don't. The vampires that was the vampires that were fighting on the train, weren't they?
No, I don't think so. I think they were just made up aliens. I think the second movie really veered off from the story, so it could
big time,
so it
big
could
time.
be conclusive. You know what I mean?
The second movie took elements of the manga and changed them.
Yeah.
That in particular, the scene where Kay's girlfriend gets kind of they have to, when Gantz points out that your girlfriend's an ex-alien, and Kay has to try to run away with her. They totally rewrote how that played out. Totally.
Even why it happened. It's like
and why it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. That was part of what I was talking about. How they didn't follow everything. Like there's rules. Well, right when the rules are starting to disappear, she witnessed all that shit happening, and she somehow survived because Chrono protected her. But that's why she gets a hit put on her by Gantz, is because she saw something she wasn't supposed to see.
Yes. That second movie, the action scenes, or both. You know what? To be honest with you, old boy, I didn't really like the first movie because it was seeing the actual actors whine as much as I did in the manga. It annoyed me way more than it did.
That is pretty annoying, I agree. But I mean, like, you get to see the action scenes though, and it's just like you kind of forget about all the whining and when it's all happening. At least
I have to say, man, as for special effects, as I was watching, I was like, you know what, man, I don't think America could do much better. Like, if America put money, I know there's somewhere down the line, Americans might pick this up and remake it. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But as I was watching this one, I was like, you know what, man, this is pretty decent, man. The aliens are good. The Buddha CGI was the only bit that looked a little bit off, but it was acceptable.
It was still good, but it's like compared to what actually happens in the manga, and I assume the anime, it's such a better, more action-packed, crazy, chaotic fight scene.
Now, in the second movie now, the action scenes, I fucking love them, man. They were fucking great. And although I don't like the way they changed that scene with Kurono's girlfriend, that clone of Kaito, That guy was fucked up, man.
So you know something, I did have a problem. I mean, the action scenes were good to watch and everything, but there's a continuity error. I mean, the suits are made to take a lot of damage and everything, but you have guys who haven't been hit at all. They get hit once with a sword and they die.
True.
Like the guy who turns invisible, the little middle schooler guy, just stabbed once, dies. It's like, well, okay. And then like, basically what happens once your suit's taking enough damage, it starts to leak the fluid inside of it, right? And it's just like there's none of that. It's just they cut them with the sword. All of a sudden, it goes straight through the suit, and they're bleeding and stuff. There's no protection for the suits. It's kind of a continuity error. Where in like the first one, you have guys beating the fuck out of them, and they're fine for like 5 minutes of being smashed through cars and shit.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, ignoring that though, yeah, the fight scenes were good, but because that's kind of a big part of Gantz. That's something I noticed, and it did bother me a little.
The last fight they had in that second Gantz movie, where it was Clone Kaito versus Kaito and K, it kind of reminded me of the Terminator. Like he was trying to fight the Terminator because it was just done really, really well. And that guy who plays Kaito, he had a great time, didn't he? He got to play two parts. He got to play the bad guy and the good guy. So
it's kind of interesting. I mean, because it's different than the manga, there was kind of a mystery to me for that part, but it was so boring. It was just like, I'm interested, but you've been kind of plugging around for 35 minutes and we still have no answers.
Okay, so let's wrap this up and talk about the ending. Now, honestly, like me and EriksBlue confirmed, the ending to the anime, it doesn't end. It just totally just stops. Nothing. It just like anticlimactic. You said you still there, EriksBlue?
Yes, I am.
And all right, people, we're about to spoil the ending for you in.
For perfect answer.
Are you all right with that, EriksBlue? Because I don't. Are you gonna watch a live action movie for Gantz or?
No.
Okay, so in the ending, it seems like Kane makes a deal with the Gantz ball to replace the person inside the ball.
Yeah.
And if he does that, I think he can erase everything that's happened.
Which is what happens. Nobody even remembers him.
Nobody remembers, and that Gantz just is like subdued in a way. That Gantz doesn't activate anymore and doesn't do that, and it's all good. And I just thought, you know what? If the anime ended that way, it makes more sense. You know, and I thought it was a good. I thought it was a decent ending. Like it just wrapped everything up. Reading the reviews, people hated it. They thought it was a cop out. It didn't follow. I'm like, have you read the manga?
Really, the way I see it is, you probably couldn't do a third Gantz movie if you want to stay faithful to the story because it's so graphic.
Yeah.
And there's so much bad shit that happens and everything. I mean, they probably have the technology to do the aliens and the gore and everything, but I don't know if it's going to pass as a movie. The other thing is, you know, to end Gantz, the story of Gantz itself, that's a good way to end it. Now, if that's how they ended the alien invasion thing and everything, that would be pretty happy. I mean, that's a good way to end it.
It's true, and I was a bit disappointed with myself. Because I was thinking, you know what? Now they've done it in this movie, they're not going to do that in the manga, and I'm really kind of scratching my head because I don't know how that manga is going to end, and I feel I'm going to be disappointed. But to be honest with you, I really feel like I've already got all I can get from Gantz, the manga, and the whole franchise. I think it's done what it came out to do, done it well, and you can't do anything better. It's just a shame that to go totally off topic, it kind of reminds me of what happened. I don't know if you watched this, old boy, but I know EriksBlue, I think you said you watched this. You see that DC cartoon All Star Superman?
Oh no.
Oh, I watched it, but I didn't know what the hell was going on.
You know how? Well, I don't want to spoil it. You know how it ended?
Yes, I do.
I think that would be a perfect end to Superman. To be perfectly honest with you, after I saw that, I thought, you know what? If the story of Superman actually ended that way, that actually makes perfect sense to me. And Gantz ended in basically the same way. Since I brought it up, how do you feel about EriksBlue, by the way?
Go on.
About I know it's random, at the end of that Superman movie.
I thought I liked it. I just kind of got lost when I was watching the movie because I didn't know who was who and what was going on.
Well, you know what? I will spoil it. Oh, but basically, Superman, he kind of dies in a way. But he dies.
Like he chooses to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he basically becomes part of the sun.
Ah, okay.
And it's not done in a corny way. It's done in a good way.
Okay.
You know,
Well, I mean,
and he handles all. It's done in a very that whole movie is about closure because Superman wraps up all his affairs and he's dying throughout the whole movie. By the way,
oh wow.
Cancer.
it's a really I really like it, but there's a lot of criticism because too much happens in that movie. It's based off a comic series of 13 volumes and they crammed it all into one movie.
But actually, getting back on track, talking about Superman, you can draw a lot of parallels to Gantz to Superman.
I felt that way.
Like just the character though of Chrono and Clark Kent. They're not like picked on or anything. They're just nobodies. Nobody cares about them and everything. They're just going about their lives and being schmucks, right? But then the Gantz missions, everything makes Chrono like Superman. It kind of makes him like Superman. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Giving him that parallel life and everything.
I agree. I know. I'm sure some people are putting out their hair saying you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, guys. But
I don't watch or read Superman, so I mean, just a little bit I know. I can draw those parallels, which might be very loose. I don't know.
It's loose, but I see it, and I agree. And I just felt like in these two cases, with that Superman movie and this Gantz movie, I felt these two had very conclusive endings that kind of wrapped things up in a very, very nice way. But ultimately, let's just wrap all this shit up about Gantz. Gantz as a franchise, it's done really well, and now it's very popular. I don't think it's popular enough to be Americanized at all. To be honest with you, it's way too touchy. The story,
yeah, there's no way.
The topics are just way too random and way too touchy, way too adolescent, way too sexual,
way too violent.
Well, violence is kind of pretty lenient with the violence, but yeah.
Well, the sexuality thing will be kind of harder.
Yeah, everything else.
The only thing I can compare it to, and this is so loose, it's unbelievable. And actually, it's not good. It's not a good comparison. It's kind of I don't know if you guys seen the Spawn animated series.
I saw that.
I saw the live action.
I like the voice actor. Was it Keith David? The voice actor of Spawn. The anime.
I don't know his voice actor. But what did you think of the anime? The hecticness and it has the same kind of level of chaos as Gantz. It's the only thing I can think of that has that level of chaos.
Except Spawn has more like what's the thing for it? Christianity. It has more religion in it.
True.
It mentions more religion in it than Gantz does.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. I'm not even trying to I'm not trying to justify this for you listeners or anything. I'm just saying it's a really good franchise. It probably isn't for everybody, in particular females. I can see females not liking this, but to be honest with you, if I take things I think anyone could like, is art animation and art is really great. Like I don't read a lot of manga, but I'm reading this on my iPad, by the way, people, and I got to zoom in and I got to see detail, and it's drawn really fucking well, man. So I can see a lot of detail with my iPad, man. I see you. So yeah, movies, anime, it's all good. It's getting a lot of hype. I think talking about American audiences or American Hollywood or the whole industry, I think it's gradually getting more violent anyway and more gratuitous. I'm not going to say that word because I can't. And I think maybe somewhere down the line, when as we keep prophesizing, when what's it called, Battle Angel Alita gets done by
Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron, and when they're all looking for the next anime to they turn to a movie, I think they might turn to Gantz and say, "Oh, this is a fucking good one,"
And then make it PG-13 and terrible.
The chaos. Gantz is about chaos to me, chaos and adolescence at its best. So if you take any of those elements out, it's just not the same show. So But I don't know how many people watch Gantz. I don't hear a lot about it. Funny enough, old boy, I was surprised when you told me you actually read the manga.
Yeah, it's one of my top 10. I mean, if you extend my 5 to 10, it's definitely in the 10.
Yeah, for me, I don't read a lot of manga. I've got like 10 manga under my belt, so it's in my top 10. It's not really saying much, but what?
By default.
Yeah, by default. Yeah. So, but what can I say, man? If you haven't, I would check it out. You check out the anime first. The thing I liked about watching the anime, because I'd seen the animation as I was reading the manga, the world was already in my head. So that isn't really saying much. It just shows you how unaccustomed I am to manga just by me saying that. But all I'm saying is that when I watched the manga, then read the anime. That doesn't make any sense. When I watched the anime, then read the manga, it built something in my head. I don't know, something in my head just made this thing more 3D. I think that's the best way to say it. So I don't know how I came off sounding like a Gantz lover or something. It was real fun, man. Real fun, real violent, real fucking crazy, man. You know. And but all I can say lastly is I really hope the manga finds a way to conclude in a way that's believable.
I don't know. It's like I said, the way the second movie ended would have been a good way for the manga to end.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure that card's off the table. So until then, I will check in every 6 months to see the couple volumes they release, and yeah. So sorry, I know we've had you on the back burner, EriksBlue. Have you got anything else you'd like to say about this?
Yeah, I'm good.
Ah, man, so I guess that was the Gantz special, man. I don't know how long it was. I felt like I did most of the talking that time, man.
You usually do.